This video is for Emerald Brown. She asked how A Course in Miracles has changed my life. And, I thought about the question all day because I really wanted to give a really good response to that. Thinking back to when I first was exposed to the book, it was back in 2013, I think. And at the time, I was born again a Christian, and I was attending church full time. I had just switched from one church to another within the year, and I started to have the same questions and doubts that I had had before. Now, let me preface that and say that this is my journey. I'm not saying anything about anyone else with the purpose of this video. I really encourage everyone to do their own journey in the way that makes sense for them, right? So I'm not saying anything bad about anyone, but I started to have questions that the church couldn't answer. And I realized that the people in my life, in the church, within the church, and religion in general, they always had, well, the Bible doesn't answer that, so that's not important. Or, you shouldn't do that because the Bible says you shouldn't do that, or whatever it is, right? And my thing is, when I very first picked up A Course in Miracles, I started reading it. It's very dense. It's a very dense book. There's a lot of words that are used, right? And I think somebody actually even said in the comments for the other video that you had watched that they say a whole lot of nothing, right? And I think, at that point in my life, it was like, I didn't understand it because I wasn't meant to, but then I started doing the workbook anyways. Now, I will say that when I first started reading it, when I first found out about it, people in the church were definitely like, don't do it. Do not read that. It is, from the devil. It's whatever. And, I'll say back then, it made me feel guilt and shame for having questions. It made me feel guilt and shame for wanting to learn and grow. And ultimately, that's what made me turn away from being in a religious setting. Was I was only supposed to learn what they wanted me to learn, and not, everything else was the devil. And that was pretty counterintuitive to spiritual growth, in my opinion, right? Because if you really want to know something, you have to experience it. And I'm not saying, you go out and do heroin so that way that it's bad. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that some things in life you have to go through by experience. And that book was one of them. And I'm so glad that I stuck with it. And I started to do the exercises. And what it ultimately made me realize was that anything that causes fear, anything that causes you to doubt a path, anyone that causes you to doubt a path that you could possibly take based off of fear, is first of all trying to control, and second of all, not what our highest expression of ourselves, God, creator, source, wants for us, right? We were put here to learn and explore, and we were given free will. And I don't think that any one man should be able to say that this is or isn't right? Because that's judgment and that's control, and you're using fear. And so ultimately what I learned with the book was everything that I have experienced up in my life until I started to become aware of those things was based on something that was taught to me, something that was something that was instilled in me. And, when you're a child, you're curious and you want to know things and you want to learn and grow, and you have a lot of why questions. I'm not sure what's going on with my throat right now, but maybe it's because I'm speaking the truth and this is hard for me. But anyways, that stuff starts to get taken out of us, right? Don't do that. No, don't do that. Be this way, especially for women. Be seen and not heard. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't be that way. Don't dress like that. It's your fault that this happened. All of those things. And so you start to internalize that stuff. And so all of that fear that they've put down on you, whether they did it on purpose or not, I'm not saying that, people always have bad intentions, but it changes the way that you see things. And so for me, it was like taking away the veil. It was opening my eyes to being more aware of what I actually wanted and needed, and knowing that everything that I've learned up in my life until that point it didn't mean anything, And so I have the power to create what I want to create. I have the power to be who I want to be. And the only one that really is stopping me in my adult body is myself. And so, I started to let a lot of that stuff go. And it was a very long process. I mean, like I said, in 2013 was when I was first exposed to the book. And 10 years later, here I am, still exposing and shedding old layers. And so, anyways, Emerald Brown, I thank you for your question. I hope this answer wasn't too long for you. And, if you have more questions, if you feel led to reach out to me again, please do so. You can find me at chasingthegreenheart@gmail.com. My phone number is listed. My website is ctgh.life. I'm here for you if you need me, okay? You don't have to feel alone, and the season might be hard, but it doesn't have to be lonely. And I love you, okay? Until next time.